Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to Let's Talk About It, Steph. I am back by popular demands. I know y'all miss me. We have lots to talk about today, and of course, I got my co-host over here, Dale Frey. Hello, Dale. Thank you for keeping it down for us last week while I was out talking to the new candidates and representatives. I hope y'all were able to watch it on YouTube.
Yeah, absolutely. It was really good to see Stephen Shook. He was running for Congressional District 26. What's interesting about that is we're going to have a Democratic primary for Congressional District 26. So things are heating up. They're both really good candidates. We all know that Ernest Lineberger ran last time, and he's going to run again. So it's good to see that we have candidates who are running for office. Because I tell you, it was cycle before last, I believe, that we had 3 out of 5 state house representatives run unimposed. So having candidates is really good and something we've really been needing. So it's definitely good to see them, and it's also good to see our another candidate that we're going to see tonight. I believe he just recently confirmed his announcement that he's going to be running for a state house. So without further ado, Detrick, do you want to introduce yourself? Tell us who you
Sure,
are and what you are running for.
sure, absolutely. Thank you very much, Stephanie and Dale. My name is Detrick Deburr. I am running for Texas House District 65. I ran for this same seat last cycle, and I'm running again. Pretty much focused on fully funding our public schools. I think we need some reasonable and rational gun legislation, and we need to give a whole lot more focus to our personal economies. Texas ranks number one in the nation for personal financial stress. So, kind of want to get into that a little bit more. There are a lot of things that the at the state level that we can do to relieve some of that pressure.
Well, all right. Well, welcome aboard, Deidre. Definitely gonna ask you a whole lot of questions. So sit back and relax. I see you in your jacket. I mean, I had to put my jacket on because I knew you was gonna have your jacket on. So I wasn't
Yes,
gonna let you outshine my jacket. I'm in white.
I got you. I got you. I got you. Don't let it.
Y'all, if y'all do not know Diedrich, you got to meet him. He is an amazing person, and I cannot wait to cast my vote for him in 2026 because we have definitely got to make some changes out here in Texas for House District 65. Diedrich is he's a good guy. He's a good guy. But
Thank
y'all know I have one of my favorite people that's on here. I met her last week, and I think my husband kind of got along a little bit too well. We're gonna bring Ann Winters on here. She is an advocate for us, and she is working hard. So she already told me, "Hey, I'm in the field. I can't send you this," but she is a wonderful person to meet, and I know she has lots to talk about. I think we're gonna get into trouble today, Dale.
you. Good trouble.
Hi, Ann. Welcome aboard.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for the invitation. I'm
You're
thrilled to be here. I kind of know everybody's name, but really not really know them. I know I've seen Dale's name around, and and the gentleman that just spoke. And Stephanie, you're right. I just met you, and I was just wearing your husband out until you could free yourself up to give me some attention because I knew you were the one. So yes, girl, I'm ready. So I don't know if you wanted me to go into my spiel about what I do or not. Um, you guys know that we have the No Kings March coming up this Saturday,
Sure.
and so I'm a nationwide political organizer. So I'm just kind of got my fingers in all the pots around the country in organizing these very large and small events. I'm really part of the resistance, first and foremost, before I'm part of the political uh, family, so to speak. So right now, we've got Saturday coming up. We're trying to get people off the sidelines. My main thing is to kind of help people find their political way. We have people that aren't sure how to get in, when to get in. We have this gentleman that's running for office. That is a way to get in. We just need everybody in the game at this moment. This is really an all hands on deck moment for everybody. So that's kind of a little bit about what I do, and I can go on once Stephanie gives me the thumbs up.
Well, since y'all miss me so much, listen, my husband enjoyed himself talking to you, Miss Winters. He really enjoyed talking to you. He loves to talk. Those of y'all that know him, he loves to talk, especially if you get him your ear, he's going to talk you to death and he's going to ask you 1,000 questions. That's why I'm up here. And then he don't want to listen to me. That's why we got this podcast. Like, let's talk about stuff because my husband refuses to listen to me sometimes because I go on, and he tired. He want to watch his football in peace. How you want to watch
Yes,
your football in peace? But
it
that's
is
him.
true.
So, how is everybody's week going so far?
Oof,
Actually,
oof.
it's a pretty full. It's been a pretty full week. um, just kicking off campaign things. Obviously, as Ann just mentioned, this Saturday, a lot of people are looking forward to the No Kings events all around the country. Here locally, just recently, we were at the Flower Mound Fall Festival. Tomorrow night, we have a big fundraiser with the Flower Mound Democrats for those people who are in the area of North Texas. So there's a lot going on. And so that's keeping us busy, which is what we signed up for.
All right. Dale, how's your week going?
It's going all right. It's personally, it's been very busy. We were just celebrating the Feast of Tabernacles. It's a type of thing my wife's really into more than I am, but I hang out. And so we just literally got back from
You might hear
Oklahoma.
you, Dale.
Well, the weekends are always busy for us. We host Shabbat on Saturdays, and then half the time we go to our Wesleyan church on Sundays. But we were for there at the Feast of Tabernacles in Oklahoma, and we just came back a couple hours ago because our dog apparently has injured himself to the point our dog sitter had just had to summon us back because we thought we would have to take him to the vet. Looks like he just pulled something. He just whines a little bit when he tries to move one of his arms, his legs rather, but he'll be fine. It's working out. But timing wise, it worked out anyways because as Detrick mentioned, there's a really big event tomorrow in Flower Mound. A bunch of us candidates are going to be there for a big fundraiser and slash campaign kickoff. So Flower Mound tomorrow night. Stephanie, I believe you're going to be there as well as Detrick. So definitely
Dale,
going to
you just
be.
love pitching me in, don't you?
Oh yeah,
Yes.
it's going to be a
Steph
fun
will
time,
be
and also I will plug this individual real quick. There is someone who's going to be on the ballot this coming November, which is pretty rare because usually we only have amendments on Novembers like these, like in between the last presidential cycle and the midterm. Usually it's just the amendments, but there is a special election for school board, and Michelle Alkatib is going to be on the ballot. This is a special election that happened to be merged into the November election. And that's only for the Denton County area, specifically for Louisville ISD. So if anyone of you live in Louisville ISD, please give a good fill in the bubble a vote for Michelle Alkatib. She's been on the school board before. Unfortunately, there was some redistricting that kind of redistricted her out of her current district, which is why she's in the situation now where she has to be in this special election in order to keep her seat. So we'll see her at the Flower Mound event tomorrow. I look forward to it. And Stephanie and Detrick, I look forward to seeing you all both there too tomorrow.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it.
Nice,
well.
nice.
So, are y'all ready to get into these hot topics?
Let me add them.
Let's do
I
it.
mean, because I know y'all don't want to hear about me. All I do is go to physical therapy. I done went twice this week. My arm hurts. I got ice. I got my ice with me. Y'all can't see it, but I got my ice with me. I'm ready to put it back on. Oh Lord, we all icing. That's bad.
This isn't ice. This is medication. I'm just letting you know. Ice only goes so far. Call me when you're ready for this.
And with all the politics, when you say ice, which kind of ice are you talking about?
That's a great question.
You know, if I'm
As
on that
those
Right.
words
phone, you know
just
what?
left your mouth, you just said ice only goes so far. I'm like, no, it doesn't. It goes farther than you think. No, it
Yeah,
is.
It goes a
yeah,
little
I
yeah.
too
have
far.
No, no,
legal
no, no.
ice. I have legal ice. I don't know
No.
if y'all can see it. I have legal ice that don't do any harm to anyone. And that's one of the reasons why we're gonna get straight up into these hot topics and stuff because y'all, I cannot make this stuff up. It is always something going on, and this administration is they worse than a migraine. They're just horrible. They're just horrible. But the one good thing that did happen this week was that over in Gaza and Israel, they do have a ceasefire. We don't know how long it's going to last, but at least the people that they have captured are back at home with their family, and the ones that are deceased should be back home with their families. I know that they had a few of them that are still missing, and they're going to Gaza to see if they can go locate those folks. So that's one good thing I can say is that finally it's a little peace in the Middle East, and we need that in the Middle East. I'm not gonna give somebody else credit for it because he deserves no credit for this whatsoever. I'm not doing it. I'm just not gonna give him credit. But I am so glad it's over with, and maybe we can go ahead and have peace in the United States because we got civil unrest over in Chicago, over in Oregon, they're trying to go to, and of course in California as well. So anywhere where there's a D that's running the state, they are all in there trying to take over. And I'm not a Chicago. Y'all know I'm a Louisiana to the end. I am so proud of my Chicago people. Oh my goodness. I have been watching so many clips where they are working together, trying to stop ICE from taking their folks. And I'm like, y'all, they're not just taking brown people, they taking everybody. They don't matter what color you are, they are taking you. If you look like you're American, they are taking you down. So y'all please be on the lookout and be careful out there. If you know that you got a family that is not exactly legal, you know what to tell them to go do. I'm not gonna tell you what to do because you already know what to do. And those of y'all that be riding dirty, I suggest that you go ahead. And y'all know what I mean when I say you be riding dirty. Y'all need to get your papers taken care of because he's on a warpath and they're going to take any and anybody. And especially if those of you who have warrants. So get them warrants taken care of. I've told so many of my young people, y'all need to get the warrants taken care of if you got warrants because you never know. You might be the one that's in that little white van or whatever they trying to kidnap you in, put you in, and don't nobody know where you at. I'm almost want to put air tags on all my kids right about now. So how are y'all feeling about this Gaza thing and the craziness that's going on in our country?
Yeah. So there's two things that I can understand why they almost feel like merging them together. I'm not sure if you all seen the last Saturday Night Live, but they also did something very similar where they they said, okay, so we got this really good thing happening on the other on the other side of the pond, if you will. It's nice to have a peace uh, deal, at least for now.
Sure.
That's always nice. But at the same time, too, it's almost as if the running joke that SNL did was to say, "All right, he had peace over there, but somehow is having even more turmoil over here." It's almost like a transfer of chaos, if you will. At least that's the one of the running jokes on SNL that was kind of referenced. But I will say that I have this in my notes because the concept of having these times of peace are not necessarily unheard of. About 9 months ago, the previous administration was able to establish a very similar deal. So I have in my notes, I have on January 15th of 2025, a ceasefire and hostage exchange agreement took effect between Israel and Hamas. So kind of like a, so that's something that was in January 15th of 2025. And so that was basically the previous administration. It said the agreement was based on a three-phase proposal that had been put forward earlier in May of 2024 by Biden, with the cooperation of mediators like Egypt and Qatar. United Nations Council Resolution 2735, this is back in the year of 2024, also endorsed a US backed ceasefire hostage proposal, calling on Hamas to accept it. However, the ceasefire broke down in March of 2025 when Israel resumed airstrikes, citing Hamas's refusal to extend the agreement. So these types of deals are made, they don't always last. So I agree with you. Where I would say we should kind of give credit where credit is due. It's nice to see that this administration has been able to at least somewhat start to kind of do the same thing that the Biden administration also previously did, so they can at least try to keep up with international relations. But this is also a type of thing where we've seen this movie before. Will it break down? I hope not, but it very likely will, right? And then it's mentioned with the whole ICE stuff over there. I'm not sure if that would be a separate conversation or not, but it is kind of interesting to see how, well, peace is made over there. That's great, but we're seeing lots of turmoil over here with the unmarked officers, essentially officers in plain clothing. A lot of the times, I think they don't necessarily have badges. I don't believe they're giving their identities out like a badge number or anything like that. I have yet to see any footage of seeing anyone actually read their Miranda rights. So it is one of those very scary things where I mean, I, I, I don't know what to tell you, but I'll pass it off to our other guests because I mean, some of the stuff I'm seeing in these videos are just crazy.
Yeah, sure thing. I mean, for starters, you have to give credit where credit is due, obviously. With that said, every president over the last 30 years has had a Middle East agenda
maybe
and
50.
has at least approached some form of ceasefire. But just as Dale said, that's like down one of a four down series, if I can use that term, or this is quarter one of a four-quarter game. And so getting past just a ceasefire is, I think, is what everyone, people who watch this very closely, that's what they're looking for. And as Dale said, we've been here before where we can at least put the guns down for a second. But now, what does reconciliation looks like? What does a two-state solution look like? What does it look like? What does disarmament of Hamas look like? And we haven't seen that yet. So on the positive, you always, like I said, give credit where credit is due, but you also have to be mindful that we're still early in the game. We're very, very early in the game. As it relates to Chicago, two things come to mind. Number one, the reason we know that there are people who are classified as illegal immigrants in Chicago is because we sent them there. So
Yes.
if you remember in the state of Texas, the Lone Star Project was a was a large initiative of the Abbott administration 2 years ago, where as people were crossing the Texas border to file for asylum, they were put on buses sent to Chicago. so so if you send them there, that's exactly where they are. So, but with that said, and I'll circle it up with this, and this is with any administration. I think chaos is what you do when you don't know how to do the job. So chaos. So the reason we're saying chaos is because, in my opinion, we have an administration that doesn't have a well thought out plan. Number one, we have an administration that's still very understaffed, right? So even if we had solid policy, I'm not so sure we even have the staff to actually execute on the policy that that the president could even possibly be thinking about. So we have a long, 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 long way to go there. I mean, those are my comments on those two things.
I have a very different. Uh, I have a very different perspective on all of this as part of the resistance. So, can we not forget about Project 2025?
Mhm.
Chaos is who he is. That is what he brings. It's intentional. It's not that if he had enough people, it would be more chaos, for God's sake. It wouldn't be less. They wouldn't be any better organized, but they would be able to implement their, I'm going to use it, fascist agenda a whole lot faster
Mhm.
if they had the staff in place. They were kind of lucky that they don't have enough people. But on the Palestinian Israeli situation, I have friends in Tel Aviv and also in Gaza. And for me, I guess there's nothing else to bomb, nobody else to kill. So now I can have a peace agreement. Yeah, I can. I mean,
Sure.
really. Um, also, the fact that in my mind, this country is and has been complicit in the attacks that have been going on in Gaza and killing innocent people. Nobody likes the fact that Hamas, and I'm doing air quotes because in many ways they are somewhat of a mythical group, kind of like Antifa and ISIS. We kind of know their name, but we really don't know who they are. And so I've seen our country kind of, I'm not saying that bad people, that they're not a real thing. Um, but I think our country has in the past used the boogeyman name to kind of kind of back up their bad intentions and their the way that we go about making war in many places. Now, for me as a resistor, I'm trying to get the people that are pro-Palestinian, including myself, but a lot of young people who were pushing, to support the Palestinian people, and rightfully so. But they became the outliers in this kind of political movement over the last year, and they're off to the side. I think mainly because of the way they went about protesting. They thought they were in the 60s where you could get in people's faces and just kind of be, you know, overly aggressive. But I, I'm working hard to bring them back into the mainstream conversation because their intentions were honorable. They wanted to look out for the Palestinian people. I remember being anti-war for Vietnam and everything after that. So that's kind of a natural place for young people to be. So I'm working hard trying to get them back into the mainstream so that their voices are heard, and maybe we can transition their concerns into American policies because they sat home last year on that one event or this one issue. They stayed home. They did not vote. So it's important for us to get them back in the conversation. As far as the immigration issue, Stephanie mentioned they're rolling up on everybody, anybody, all the time. My group has helped put together flyers last year to help prepare people to get ready in the event something happens because we knew last year it was going to happen. They said it was going to happen. They told us it's all written in Project 2025. They said it was going to happen. So we're working with families to try to prepare them for that. Have your identification and not just a copy on your phone or even a paper copy. Have the real deal with you, your passport, your driver's license, what Stephanie said about you better clean up those tickets and warrants right now because you don't know what you don't know. For the kids, we've started working with certain schools to issue air tags for the kids in their backpacks in the event they get separated from their parents who are showing up at school to pick them up and then all of a sudden swept up. Kid is left by themselves. We don't know where they are. So there's a lot of organizing and outreach and preparation that's going in to try to support the immigrant community. They're under siege right now, and I went to the vigil last week for the two gentlemen detainees that were killed. I think we forgot about that here in Dallas.
Hmm.
They were in the van. The man on the roof shot them. Okay, so they had a vigil for them at City Hall last week. It was only maybe 30, 40 people. Should have been much bigger. Um, but when the family members got up there and said, "We are being hunted like animals," I, I don't know what that is. We don't know what that feels like. But to work with that community that feels like that is kind of overwhelming. So there's so many different layers, not just to our support in the hostages being released. And let's not forget that this administration, uh, 5 years ago, was bombing mosques and
Mhm.
synagogues. They were anti, So this is just kind of convenient in my mind for them. Um, but also, my concern is Americans having boots on the ground in Gaza and Israel, and that being misconstrued by one side or the other as American influence and involvement. Where every time we put our feet on somebody else's soil, we seem to have, something happens, or we're putting ourselves in the middle of a situation. So, I'll go on to talk about. The food bank efforts that we have for the migrant community, the immigrant community, because their breadwinners are being picked up. Kids can't go to school, people can't work, they got to be fed, they need rides to the doctor if they can go. I could go on and on. But right now, my group is facilitating and organizing food banks. So anybody that has a location, a church or a community center where we can have drop boxes, we can make arrangements to have that food picked up and delivered. And we would love to have other communities join in that effort as well. But it's all related. All of it's related. So I'll go back to our hostess.
Well, thank you so much. And thank you for all of that information and your comments. Because I know last year it was just very strong that a lot of people that was for Palestine being free, they got into, especially the youth,
Yeah.
they got into so much trouble getting kicked out of the universities and all kind of things that were happening to them. And it wasn't right because that's their country, just like we would do the same thing for our country as well. We would fight and protest because these people were being, their generations were being wiped away, you know and
Right.
they wouldn't render an aid over there. So I'm glad that it's over with for now. I hope it stays that way. But we all know usually what happens overseas. Sometimes things take place, but I really hope that it don't. I really hope that it don't. So, kudos to all of those that were involved to make that happen.
It's interesting you say that, Stephanie. There's something that I'm keeping an eye on. If we look at the top two negotiators for the United States, it's Mr. Witkoff and Jared Kushner. And so when you think about what do they do for a living, Mr. Witkoff actually is a real estate executive, and Jared Kushner is a real estate investor. So it's kind of hard for me. Now, I want to set aside of course, we want, no killing. But set that to the side just a second, right? When a person who is a real estate investor show up somewhere and a real estate executive show up at the same place, I am, that looks like a real estate deal to me at that point.
Oh, it is.
Why
I
else do you?
agree with
Why,
you.
yeah, right. I mean, that you send the people qualified to do the job. My concern is, or the things I want to keep an eye on here, right, without getting too far off on a tangent, is what is the job if you're sending a real estate investor and a real estate executive, right? So I want to keep that just as a backdrop here, that the people who are negotiating the ceasefire are people who build and develop real estate. That's just something we need to keep an eye on.
You know what it's about. We all know what it's about. Certain people are not going to do anything unless it's going to benefit them, their pockets. So we all know that he already made a comment about putting a golf course or some type of resort over there. So I'm just gonna keep it real. That's what's gonna wind up happening. He's trying to pull the wool over people's eyes and think they're a bunch of sheeps and they're
Mm.
gonna fall for it. We have no idea what was in that negotiation. What did he promise? I know Palestine wants to be their own state, and Israel don't really want them to be their own states because they want the whole thing. But honestly, I just hope that they can keep peace over there because it was so many lives that was lost, and I'm like Rodney King. Can we all just get along? I know it's hard, but I would love to see them get along. But my question is, okay, so we have peace right there. Now, who's going to go ahead and negotiate the peace over here in the United States? Because we one big issue for it being an all right fight out here. People tempers are out of control. You can see it if you're on 35 out here in Texas, anywhere on 35 and what is that, I-49, people are driving reckless and they don't care. And with all the killings that have been happening, especially over in the DFW area, there's been another one over in Dallas where a man was on a train and somebody ended his life. There's been issues over in Fort Worth that, and they're trying to say that it was gang related. We're having so many different issues, but I don't hear the governor saying that I'm gonna put boots on the ground over here in DFW at all.
Well, the tensions are high all over, Stephanie, and wherever there are high tensions, when they're mismanaged, people are going to act them out. That's why I said, if you look at Texas, we are the number one financially stressed state in the country. So whether you're having a financial stress or any other thing, my point is that that has to be acted out. And then you take that and couple that with our loose gun legislation, which makes weapons a whole lot easier to get. Pretty much what you have there is a recipe for disaster.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's what brings us to our next topic. We're going to talk about this economy and everyday household struggles because, man, people are hurting. With the government shutdown, it's affecting so many different people. You're running for House District 65, and the people that's in your district are really going to suffer. You know,
Well, the people in Texas, period. Actually, I
yes,
have this little saying. I'm saying right now, we're looking for what I call goodwill voters. Those are people who used, and what I mean by goodwill is people who now shop at the Goodwill because they are. It used to be a time when you only went to the Goodwill when your financial budget wasn't just quite needed to be, or something like that. But now that's average. That's normal, or that's being normalized. Let me say it like that. And so when we look at, and this is before the government shutdown, but when we look at the number of personal bankruptcies, up 22% in the state of Texas. The average drop in credit scores, highest or pretty high in Texas. When you add those things up, right, we have some stress, and that stress is just going to be acted out, and that's what we're seeing. The state has the responsibility to relieve some of that pressure. Much of it, in my opinion, has to do around because the question is, well, why is that? Well, number one, we don't have the affordable housing that we need. Number two, medical costs are rising, and Texas is one of those states that did not expand Medicaid. Hence, that's a larger burden on the individual to take care of their own personal health. When people are talking about property tax relief, but my issue around that is if, are we going to give the same property tax relief to, for example, an apartment owner? And by definition, they should get it. But my point is that if you take that property relief and then don't relieve your renters by holding rent steady, right, then you still have the same issue. And these are some things at the state level that we can do.
Yeah,
Well,
and
I'm sorry, Dale, go ahead.
okay. I was going to add on to what Detrick was saying because I last cycle we were kind of talking about basically the same subject, but I'll take it a step further and say we have a massive surplus at the state level, which is a good problem to have, but our legislature is just not releasing a lot of that money. So in last cycle, we were really trying to speak against the school voucher scam. And basically, we were saying, hey, look, like we have a massive surplus. Like we have the money to fund our public schools. We just need to give the money to the schools. We have enough money to we can increase the basic allotment by a certain amount in order to have our schools keep up with inflation because the basic allotment or basically the static rate of money going to each ISD, depending upon the number of students who attend that ISD, that number has been stagnant and is static and has not increased. And because it hasn't increased in over a decade, inflation is just killing our schools, because we've seen inflation happen over the past decade. So, but our property taxes have always been going up, along with inflation as well. So, with the inflation and with the increasing property taxes, it's not it's easy right now to say, hey, we can give you all a break in property taxes. Some politicians I've seen, particularly on the right side of the aisle, say we can slash your property taxes by like a third.
Right.
And it's like, well, yeah, you can point to our big, massive surplus and say, oh, we have such a surplus, therefore we can cut our property taxes. But the reality is our state legislatures are not paying the bills. It's easy to say, like, oh, I'm a rich man. Look at me. I got lots of money in the bank. But if you're not paying
You're
your
paying
bills,
your bills. Great,
yeah,
great point.
yeah, if you're not paying your bills, then like you're not really rich. You're just holding that money and being fiscally irresponsible, and that's what we've been seeing and are still seeing. So it becomes a complicated thing, because what I fear is, I fear that this legislature, which is in complete control by the Republicans right now, may in fact slash our property taxes, which I think it should be done a little bit. But I mean, if they massively slash our property taxes so much to a certain point, then we will literally be incapable of funding our public schools and our public health system without having to increase property taxes, right? So the concept here is this. I see a lot of this happen on both sides of the aisle. One politician will say, hey, we can't give any more money to the schools, because if we give any more money to the schools, we'll have to increase your property tax. Well, that's not true, because we got money in the bank. Like I said, it's like a person saying that they're rich who's not paying their bills, right? So that's just one of the things we were talking about last cycle that really frustrates me. I wanted to add that on to what Detrick was saying, because it's very true to what you're saying, but it's also like our healthcare system, as you mentioned, not being part of the Medicaid expansion program, and our education system, and so many other things. But I just was trying to agree with Detrick and just adding some uh, more frosting onto the cake.
Yeah, and
I
just
hate
to,
to get you like that.
Dale makes a valid point there, and we're looking at the property tax. Here's a bigger issue, right? The bigger issue is that we're not looking at fact based accounting, right? We're looking at cash based accounting, meaning that we only look at the dollars when they're exchanged, but we have a lot of future obligations, whether it be around retirements, whether it be. So my point is, for example, a voucher program, right? We have to not only look at what it costs next year, but what is that going to cost us 10 years from now? Okay. And we have to figure that cost in today. And what's happening is we're making short term financial decisions, right? We're making short term financial decisions because we're not looking at. Now, with that said, let me tell you why I think we're looking at short term financial decisions is because we have people that are more worried about staying elected, right? More worried about staying elected. And
Yes.
so I'll circle it up with this. I think as a state legislator, you have to look, 10 years out. And if you're not looking 10 years out,
Mhm.
then you're basically short-sighted. And the way the state of Texas is right now, like you said, Dale, we have a really nice rainy day fund today. It's been raining for a while. Um, but I think it's important that we look at our state agencies, what's being spent, number one, and look at it um, in a more accrual manner, right? Which is what a business normally does, if that makes sense. And right now, that's not what we're doing. So we're talking, like you said, we're talking about how much money we have, but we haven't talked about that we have a rent payment next month, and we have a car note next month, and oh, by the way, the kid has to go to college next year, and we need to take that into consideration today.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah, I'm going to take it a different direction. I appreciate all of the local input, but you have to understand this is not by accident, that there is a national plan to starve your local schools
Yes.
and your medical system here.
Very true. Yes.
So, all of the local things that we can and cannot do are tied to the federal government. It is
Mhm.
strategic, it is intentional. So, it's part of the plan. The voucher system just didn't come up because it was a Texas thing, it's in their plan. Project 2025, that has been their thing for 50 years, is to defund the public schools. And the reason that, as you know, that they did not expand Medicaid is because they didn't want to take the money to starve the medical system. So this is not a Texas thing. Now, I'm from Portland, Oregon. Okay, so my people are trying to stand in the breach right now, as they have for the as long as I can remember. Oregon has kind of been on the forefront of activism for a long time. They're fighting the good fight. But as a blue state transplant, that also puts stress on an already stressful situation for the state of Texas and also for the other red states. We are coming here. We're coming with money. We're coming with money. Uh, I don't know if that money is not filtering into the economy in the right way, but everybody that I know and you possibly know that moved here did for what reason? Cost of living. They came from the blue states because the cost of living is less. Now, over the last 3 years, maybe 5 years, that has changed, but it's still lower than blue states. So I just wanted to kind of take a minute to remind, and I do this often with many local politicians that I am around, to remind them that there is a bigger plan at hand in terms of driving the forces in the state of Texas and other red states. And two of those things are the healthcare system and the education system. Now, let's remember that a lot of the funding has been cut. Federal workers have been fired and laid off in DC. That is going to trickle down to the federal and state agencies in each state. So I'm just encouraging everybody to kind of think a little bigger, a little wider than our neighborhood and our communities, our city and our states, because the plan is much bigger than just Texas. Abbott is going trying to get on the cabinet. I think, I don't know. What's sad is the Democrats don't even have a viable candidate to challenge him. I don't know what that is about. And then we have Tellerico and All Red and this. I don't know what that is either. But to me, like I said, the issue is bigger than the state of Texas, and this kind of falls in line with the national plan. It is written. They've been planning this for a very long time. So we can't be surprised how they choose to use the money that they have, where they put it or where they don't put it. That whole income tax, property tax scheme is right up there with the voucher scheme, and it's kind of been part of their shtick for a long time. So I just wanted to kind of remind folks uh, that this is not just a local issue, that you are fighting bigger forces that actually have a plan. They have a plan, and they are executing it little by little, little by little. Now it's picking up steam, but it's been in play for a long time. So that's the resistor speaking, the disruptor.
Yeah, I think
Or
Donald.
they call me the dream sniper many times.
It reminds me how
Wow.
I think Donald Trump had a tweet, or maybe it was a Truth Social post or something like that. He said, like, I'm going to meet with, so I forget the name. He said he's going to meet with someone, and he said he's someone who facilitates Project 2025. And it was one of those things where it's like, okay, now you're just, because now he's openly saying it. Because a while ago, I think there'd be some reporters who would ask Donald Trump about Project 2025. And as usual, whenever cornered and uncomfortable, he just says, I don't know what that is. And he just moves on to another subject. But like, he's mentioning it now. And I think it's all pretty obvious. For those who don't know, JD Vance, by the way, authored the forward
Yep,
within Project 2025.
yep,
So
yep.
it is unfortunately, as mentioned, when it comes to education, things are bad enough here in Texas as it is, but also with the slashing of the federal level Department of Education, that's not slashing, the types of curriculums. What that's really slashing is funding. The Department of
Right.
Education at the national level is really more of a thing that funds more than controls what the curriculum in your schools are. which is seems to
Right.
be what the other side of the aisle seems to demonize the Department of Education, because they say like, oh well, we should have our states' rights, and who is the Department of Ed to tell us how to teach our kids? The reality, that's not how things work here in Texas. In Texas, we have the teaks. The teaks are the ones in the state, the SBOE, the State Board of Education, are the ones who create the curriculums. In fact, in the ISDs, the regular school board level, they cannot create a curriculum from scratch. They can only choose a curriculum option given to them by the SBOE, the State Board of Education. So this is something I want to put out there, because there's a lot of misinformation. Because I've heard a lot of people, like in my gym and also my family members, who say like, oh, there's all this wokeness in our schools. Like one of us should run for the ISD school board. I'm thinking, you don't. They don't have the level of power that you think that they have. Like that's not how things work. And also, the Department of Education does not control what you learn here at the state level. So it's really
They're
Hey,
very subtle, though, Dale. They've been very subtle about the levers that they can control and that they are. I mean, from what I understand, correct me if I'm wrong. Um, Imposing the Ten Commandments. I think they're being very obvious about how they're critiquing and influencing what's going on in the schools. They may not be able to necessarily outwardly control the curriculum, but they're being heard, and changes, I think, are being made in ways. Teachers aren't speaking up, administrators can't speak up. We just got a whole bunch of stuff going on. You were mentioning Trump being shy, or the liar he is, about, oh, I don't know anything about Project 2025. But Voight, who is now director of Office of Budget Management, is out and out saying, I'm going to finish the job that Elon Musk started. And so he is the architect right now that's putting together the firing of the federal employees that Trump said was going to happen during this shutdown. So I just hate to be the one. We could do everything we want locally, but they have the national plan, the purse strings, and really ultimately the control over what happens to all of us. Unfortunately, we let that happen. We're not a blue state. We're not a red state. We're a non-voting state, is what I have seen. We let this happen.
And I think Stephanie, I think you're on mute. By the way, you might need to unmute yourself. Oh, unless well, while you figure that, while Stephanie tries to figure that out, I'm not sure what's going on there, because I don't see. Oh, there we go. I can
okay,
hear.
I'm unmuted. The Steph is back. Listen, I'm gonna tell you, with everything that's going on, that is one of the main reasons why we have to have candidates that's actually going to get off their bus and fight for the people. That's why it's important for us to make sure that people like Jasmine Crockett, Al Green, are in the seats. They are the boots on the ground, and they're busting their butt trying to make sure that they do their job. But it's hard to do your job when it's not enough of us. Our biggest thing that we have to do is make sure come this November, we need to be voting for these amendments that's going on. Come next year, 2026. Well, first of all, in the primary, we got to make sure we vote in the primary, and we have to vote in the November election. It is so very important that we use our rights while we still have it to go out and go vote. But I'm gonna talk to y'all about this comment. I was laughing earlier because someone had Paige had said that JD Vance is a shapeshifter. Sometimes
Yeah.
with them eyeliner that he be using, I be thinking the same thing too. I'm like, something not right about that young man. Something is not right. But we are having issues throughout the country. And as the one of the comments said, we saw in 2020 local officers protected cities against federal attacks. So yes, 2020 was something else, and especially when we wound up having COVID during that time. So I just feel like that we got to get people to run for office because we still have a lot of positions that are not going to be filled. We need people to step up. And then we need you to go vote. We need to get the young people to get out to go vote because I'm running for office. I ran for office for them because I'm fighting for their future. Because at the end of the day, we're old. We already done did our screw up, but we got to protect their future. I don't have any grandkids, but one day I will, I think, one day. But we got to protect the next generation. Or we're going to be like Gaza. We're going to be wiped out, and it's not being wiped out like how Gaza generation was wiped out. We're getting wiped out financially. And then there are people that are wiping their own self out mentally. So we have to fight to protect democracy. And the best way that you can get out there to go do it, first of all, you got to support your candidates that's running. Secondly, you got to make sure, especially if you're in Texas, check your registration and make sure that you are good because he last year he purged over 1 million people to go vote. But that still don't stop you from going to go vote. Make your voice heard by getting out to go vote because we have great candidates that are running. We have people like Detrick and Dale, and you have a slew of people that you're protecting, you're backing that are running for office. We have to make sure that our voices are heard, and the best way that you can do it is get out and go vote. This is not the time, men and women, to sit back at home and say, oh, let them do it. We'll do it later. No, ma'am. No, sir. You got to step up and go out to go vote. So with that, I'm going to bring this up to Detrick. Detrick, you are running for House District 65. I would like to know what makes you different than Little.
Oh, it's really
Oh,
simple.
it's really simple.
First of all,
First
I
of
know how to
all,
do the
I
job.
know how to do the job.
That's number one. I have 18 years of experience working on planning and zoning
Working on
commission.
planning and
Those are the
zoning commission.
people who map out
Who
how
map
cities
out
live
how.
in North Texas. Let's look at it like this, because there's a lot going on out here, and I think we sometimes forget who really has the power. We have the power. Texas is a power triangle. A power
A
triangle.
power triangle.
Dallas,
Dallas,
Houston,
Houston,
San
San
Antonio,
Antonio,
Austin.
Austin.
Those are
Those
progressive
are progressive
cities.
cities.
With the most people in Texas live in one of those cities. That means we have the power and the capacity, if we just worked through those cities, to get anything we need to get done at the state level. So where am I going with this? What I'm saying is that we have to start and be specifically where we are. So for example, here's what I mean. Don't just go vote for a school board member. Go to a school board meeting. Don't just vote for a city councilman. Show up. And let me tell you why. Because when I was a planning and zoning commissioner, I can tell you every single time someone showed up at the meeting, it made a difference. Every single time. Every single time. Your presence is powerful. So no, we're not rolling over to anybody. As a matter of fact, I feel good about it. It's just unfortunate that we had to get this far to wake ourselves up, but that's okay. But that's okay. But as far as myself versus my opponent, the difference is I know how to do the work. And I can point you to physical things that exist on the planet today that I was directly a part of. So I like to tell people all the time, so I'm not going to go down to Austin and fight. You know why? Because I know how to get the job done. We simply going to go to work. So find candidates that know how to do the job, hire them to do the job, and part of that job is protecting you and your interest, and let them do their job. And this is important. Once you hire a person, right, you stand behind them so that they know that you have their back. That's extremely important. That's the reason Jasmine Crockett can talk the way she talks, because she knows when she gets home, there will be people who see her in the grocery store and say, Jasmine, I'm glad you brought it like that. They know that. So not only vote, not only give to your candidates, but support them and let them know and show up at those meetings, right? Show up at the meetings. There's plenty we can do.
Thank you for that. That was a really powerful speech, as usual, Detrick. I mean, every time I see you give a speech, it's always very, very passionate. So thank you for that. That was awesome. Also, Stephanie, just real quick, I'm sorry you were probably going crazy over there. We were hearing some feedback, and so I kept force muting you. So sorry about that. I'll try to, like, I think I can force unmute you. But anyways, um, thank you for running, Detrick. We definitely need someone to run for office for this position. Mr. Little is a very frustrating individual. I believe he was the Attorney General's attorney back in the day. Back when Ken Paxton was getting impeached, I believe he was the one to represent Attorney General Ken Paxton in the state Senate. So he's a very frustrating individual. We definitely need someone to send him home packing. But Stephanie, I'll let you. I'll give the stage off to you. We can hear you. Oh,
See.
there we go. I can hear you now.
Okay. Yeah, you over here muting me. You trying to keep me quiet. Guess what? You can't put me in a corner because I'm a talk. Listen, we definitely need to make sure that I agree with you, Deidre. We have got to make sure that we have people that can actually do the job, because for too long we have people that are getting these positions, getting voted in to do the work, and they're not doing the work. They're out there golfing or whatever they're doing. They're not negotiating deals for the people. They're just out there playing around, putting money in their pockets, and they're not thinking about the people. That just brings me up to our sitting president. How in the world do you wind up making money as a sitting president? Most presidents usually make money after they're out of office, but he's already lining his pocket up, so he's going to be filthy rich, and that's one of the reasons why they're doing what they're doing overseas. And I guarantee you that's what's going to wind up happening over in Russia. They're going to do the same thing over in Ukraine. Watch it. Just keep an eye on that. They're going to do the same thing with Ukraine, and he's going to say, hey, I made that deal. I don't trust nothing that a lot of people say, because when their mouth is going, don't believe the words is coming out of their mouth, because 9 times out of 10 he's lying and he has a hidden agenda. Y'all can be mad at me if you want to, but I'm gonna tell you like it is. I believe there's a hidden agenda in everything that he does. He does not care about you. So that is why it's very important that we do the right thing and make sure that we have Congress people that's in office. Federal people need to be in office that's going to actually do the work, because right now we have so many people that are going to be affected by this shutdown, especially like our military. For an example, my daughter just came into town over the weekend, and she's active duty, and she's sitting up here like, I might not get paid. Now think about all the thousands of military people that we got that's not even just in the country. What about those military people that are overseas that are fighting, they're doing things and they're not getting paid, and they know that their wife or their husband at home got to go pay the mortgage, got to make sure daycare is taken care of, because a lot of them don't live on a base. A lot of them they have their own homes and stuff. What about them? So of course, Trump did say, "Hey, we're gonna do everything we can do to make sure they get paid this month." Okay, but what about next month? Exactly, crickets. You got to
No,
do the
they're our
right
number
thing.
one. Yeah,
Yeah,
the military families, the federal employees, all of them are the reason why we're doing the food banks. We are already hearing from them We were hearing from the military families before then. I'm a military widow. They've been in line at the food bank since the 70s, as far back as I can remember. There's never been enough there for them. But they're the number one, number two targets for our food drives and our fundraising right now, is because they're hurting now. I'm sorry, Stephanie. I didn't mean to cut you off, but I just needed to throw that in, that they're hurting now, right now.
They are, and the comments that we received is that the troops need to be paid. They do. You need to pay the troops because I'm gonna tell you. See, that's why I was never in the military. I just married into the military because
Me
me,
too.
you ain't gonna pay me. You ain't gonna get no work. I don't care about that contract. I'm not gonna work. I'm just not gonna work. Oh, I broke my finger. I can't work. They might tell me, well, you got nine. Oh well, I ain't working. You no pay, no work. That's how it is. But we got some honorable soldiers that's not like me. Cause I might be a little disgruntled. Cause you gonna pay me for what I do. Because I'm like this here. If the soldiers don't get paid, Congress shouldn't get paid. And that's just how I feel about that. Let's see. I stay below the poverty line my entire service. We got somebody that was in the service. They're saying that, hey, they stayed in the poverty, which is very true. So here it is, 2025. Depending on what your rank is, they don't make a whole lot of money. Yeah, they get housing and this right here, but they're the ones that don't really make any money. We need to be up in the pay scale and don't be giving them no 3% pay scale. If you want the best of the best, like that guy sat up there and said that people are unfit, I'm embarrassed by our National Guards because they were hopping out that van and they were not fit. You know, our president ain't even fit. I'm just telling like it is. We need to make sure that our troops are getting paid, our federal workers who take care of everything. Because I'm gonna tell you, yes, I called the IRS and I was on hold for a whole hour, and I said, "Well, the government shut down. They go." I'm like, "I'm glad I don't owe them no money. They'll probably come
Hmm.
get me though."
I do want to remind everybody that the federal employees, I have friends that work for the Veterans Administration, people, they're essential personnel, so it's mandatory that they go in. They are not being paid, but they are also under this uh, stress. I think many of the agencies are feeling emboldened. It's not like our government was really functioning anyway in these departments, but now they're starting to put pressure on these employees in ways that we haven't seen. That whole Monday morning thing about showing what you did last week and what you're going to do. Some of the things that maybe you weren't the favorite flavor of the supervisor before, now they feel emboldened to act out. And so we have employees right now that are not being paid. This is day 12 or 13. I had a friend that worked for the Veterans Administration. She had to go to the hospital. She had PTO. She was off 3 days. They only gave her 2 days. They approved the 2 days. The third day, they called her AWOL. Now, I don't know how you use that in a civilian sense, but she was not paid for day three. Those are the kinds of games that are being played openly within these federal agencies. So we have a lot of stuff going on, everywhere, but these people are not being paid. My friend has a mortgage. Like you said, college. Her daughter just left for college. These are real people right now, not in DC, right here in Dallas, Texas, and they need our help. They're going to need our help. So I have a program, like I said, about the food banking, but also adopt a federal employee or a federal family, and also a military family. And that may mean raise money to cover this month's car note, this month's insurance, uh, their groceries, or other things. They were already on the edge. It's not like they were living high on the hog before, like the rest of us. on one paycheck away. None of us can do without that next paycheck. None of us. So I just want to remind people this is the here and now. Our federal employees here locally are under stress too, right now. I just keep saying that right now. And I worked for Trump University. I'm just going to put that out there. I worked for Trump 25 years ago. And whatever you think you know about him, he is 1,000 times worse. So, Stephanie, you are right. He's a he's a con man. He's a snake oil salesman. He's all those things that we see. That is him. And he is a grift. And anytime he can line his pockets or his friends, that's what he will do. The Moscow resort and is already in writing. It's happening. He's already doing that. So, you know, we are where we are, but I do want everybody to remember that we have our federal employees here locally are under stress as well. They need us.
One of the comments were there are not a lot of organizations that help in a timely manner. And Paige said, "Thank you, Ann." We do need to make sure we think about our federal people because, okay, y'all know that I'm an insurance agent, right? November is usually the highest number when things go left because people, and what I mean by left, some people wind up taking another route, and leaving their family in worse a position than what they were in. They take themselves out. November is usually the highest month of suicide. And we got to get the government up and running, but they got to make sure that that Affordable Care Act is taken care of because there's going to be so many people that do not have any insurance. And I know exactly what you're talking about. I'm not on the Affordable Care Act, but I definitely understand when it comes to insurance because I'm going to tell you, it's not a cool thing when you have to go to the doctor and find out that you're not covered anymore and you getting ready to have surgery because we have a government shutdown, or because now they don't want to make sure that they expand the Affordable Care Act for the people. It's not an Obamacare, it's an Affordable Care Act, and they just slapped his name on there. And there are so many people that's getting ready to be affected by them not taking care of it. And I feel like they're trying to run the time out for it to expire. So that way, oh, it's go over. Okay. We don't want to do anything. So let's just run the clock. Let's not bring Congress back. Let's run the clock and let them go ahead and do what they do. But you got to remember, poor state, Louisiana, you got so many people that's in the state of Louisiana that's on all kind of public service, and they are all, a lot of them are on Affordable Care Act. What you gonna do when they can't go to LSU? I'm sorry, they call it Oxnard now. They can't go to the hospital. I will show up to your house. You need to go and pay for my bill. I will show up to his house. I will show up. If you're voting against the Affordable Care Act and you don't want to make sure that your people are being covered, that might be wrong for me to say that, but I think I will be showing up at your house. I'll be calling you nonstop. You need to be taking your butt back to work and making sure that we're protected because this is not right what you're doing. You're hurting innocent people that don't have anything to do with the crap that y'all got going on. I always got something to say. Deidre,
No, yeah, people are showing up at their representatives' houses and offices, and as the disruptor and resistor, I'm just here to tell you that there's things happening there. I was in the doctor's office today before I get off this subject. The receptionist was telling the lady that her surgery is tomorrow. The total due is going to be $80,000. She can pay half today to move forward, and they'll bill her for the rest. Now, I don't know how important that surgery was, okay, but so I don't know if the woman fell on the floor when she heard it, but I'm telling you, that's the real deal. I hear from people every day, seniors, My Affordable Care Act or my prescription drug coverage has been canceled under Medicare Advantage. They're now looking at $2,000 to $3,000 out of pocket for their medication. So, I'm back again to the real deal that's happening today. Today.
Hey, I'm with you on that because I just had shoulder surgery, and there, Diedrich, this is for you. There is a lot of bills that need to be put in place that protect folks, because you're absolutely right. I had to pay almost $6,000, and that was before he even put one cut in me. I had to pay them straight up. They weren't billing me because I guess they figured we bill her, she might not pay us, but I would have paid because I'm thinking tax write off. But I'm gonna pay you. But I'm like, that's ridiculous that you have to pay so much money and you have insurance. I can't even imagine not having insurance and you gotta pay $80,000. Who has $40,000 sitting in a bank account today in 2025? It's
Oh,
not a
she
whole
had
lot of people.
insurance. She had insurance.
Oh Lord, that's sad.
She had insurance.
That's really
She had
bad. That's really bad.
Medicare that only pays 80%. Let's remember that. They only pay 80% on Medicare. So I'm gonna defer to our candidate there.
Yeah,
Hear
Well,
what
because
she
yeah,
says about
we're gonna be
the number
dependent
one
on you,
reason,
Deidre.
the number one reason for bankruptcy has been and still is medical bills.
Yep.
And so that's why it was so important to embrace something like the Affordable Care Act, and more importantly, to extend it or expand it. That is why in states like Texas and other, especially red states that did not expand Medicaid, they now also have a disproportionate number of people that are using the market. So
Hmm.
I say that to say much of the financial stress and strain that people are currently experiencing right now around health and around paying this just their quote unquote doctor bills, that's only going to be exacerbated, right? Because think about it like
Hmm.
this, and I go back to that point. Somebody told me they were making reference to bankruptcy. You see, as long as you can get up and work, there might be a way to figure this bill out. But when you are incapacitated, when you are sick and you cannot work, that's when we need help. So as many people say, I get my insurance from my job, that implies you have a job. That implies that you can work. And so what I'm expecting us to see across the board is just healthcare cost, right? Healthcare cost period go up. And and until we make the adjustments, like I said, number one, pushing hard, at least here in the state of Texas, is expanding Medicaid. We have too many people that are just pretty much driving up the cost of having to go to the emergency room, and that this number now is becoming non-sustainable. It's simply mathematics at this point. We must expand Medicaid in Texas.
Yeah, and Paige says Biden had a law where the healthcare debt would not be on your credit, and I think it's gone. Yes, anything that Biden did that was for the people is gone. It is completely gone. And that's why it's so important for us to do what? We got to get out there and vote these people out and put people that actually care about the folks. But before we even can get out of this year, we gotta demand our Congress to get back to work, and they got to make sure that they take care of the folks by doing affordable health care expand. They got to take care of these people. I can't even imagine what's going to wind up happening in November, in December, because right about now it's open enrollment. It's going to be bad. And if they do that, most people premiums are going to triple what it already is, because I just got off the phone talking to Affleck about my health care, and they're like, oh yeah, it's gonna be this much. And I'm sitting up here like, are you kidding me? And I have Blue Cross Blue Shield. So I'm just saying we gotta do something, and we have to tag we the insurance is too high. People are not gonna be able to afford it. So you're gonna have to either have a surgery or you're going to have to plan a funeral. A surgery, some of the things are really preventable, but with them not being able to have insurance, they're going to go ahead and take care of their family, and they're going to not take care of themselves, and they're going to die. And that's what is exactly going to happen. I hate to say it like it, but that's what's going to wind up happening. People are getting ready to die. And we got to get them to do their job. So if I was you, if y'all hear me, please call your Congress people. Call Mike Johnson, because he's the one that don't want anybody working because they on vacation again. But there are some people that are out there working and trying to talk to the people. But y'all need to call Mike Johnson. Go find out where he's at and demand that he bring these people back to work, and they sit down, do the negotiation, and give us what we want. We want affordable health care, and we need, and it should be on the bill that it should not be expired at no time.
I just
But
want to know where all Congress is. Democrats, they're missing in action. I don't see my congressional representatives doing anything. I think they're on vacation. I just kind of put out a post a couple of days ago. The entire Congress is missing in action. They're not, I mean, Mikey, whoever, even my girl Jasmine, I haven't seen her in her community. My representative is Julie Johnson. And so we have to understand the our party is not coming to save us anytime soon. I mean, the government is shut down. Where are they?
you
So
got to
I'm
put
putting out the clarion call.
call
Call everybody.
yeah.
You're not sure how to get the number, house.gov. You want to call the senators, senate.gov. Where are they? Find out where they are and go wherever that is, because they are all missing in action. I don't care what party it is, who your representative is at the national level. They're nowhere to be found. You don't see them on TV. They're not in the community. There's no town halls.
I think
So
people
I
are
think we
afraid
should
to go
call
to
them
the
all
town
out.
hall. I think they're afraid to go to the town halls right about now because they know this is the last week that the federal workers are going to get paid. This is their last check. So I'm
Yes.
quite sure they're sitting up here thinking, oh my God, I don't want to face these people, you know.
Yeah, but
But
what about my party? What about the Democrats? They should be out there messaging around this too. I don't know about you guys, but I saw commercials all weekend long about how the shutdown is the Democrats' fault. You know, they're hiring for ICE. You're getting a $50,000 bonus. They're doing student loan forgiveness. Where is my party?
well,
I just don't.
I'm gonna tell you something. We got a bunch of wussies that are in Congress. We got a bunch of wussies that are in Senate. We got a bunch of wussies that are running in the House district, in the Senate. We got a bunch of wussies all over the place. And it's about time that the Democratic independent departments stand up and say something and do something, because nobody's going to understand I can't feed my kid. Nobody's going to understand you finna get fired because you don't have enough gas money to put in your car to go to work that you might not even get paid for. Don't nobody have time for that. We need y'all to stand up for the people. And I'm with you in call. I will harass them. I will be sending them mails. I'll be sending them emails. I will be mailing them letters and stuff and telling them your situation. Matter of fact, somebody got on to one of the news things with Mike Johnson and was telling, "Hey, I'm a veteran. I'm a military mom, and my kids might die because of the medicine. Y'all got to stand up for us. I don't care if y'all done sold your soul to the devil, but let me tell you something. You ain't gonna be in that seat come 2026 because all y'all positions is up for grabs. Fool around and find out. With that being said, Deidre, I want you to do your stump speech and tell the people what you're about and what you're gonna do. because it's almost time for us. I am way over time limit. Sis. Yeah,
Sorry.
y'all
So
like church.
sorry.
Y'all like a Baptist church today. Ooh, Lord. But
Well,
you
the main
know
thing I
what?
want to share with
We
everyone
got
is that the main thing I
we
want to
got
share with everyone that there is something that you can do. You can always do something. So what I say is find a way to get in the way. Find a way to get in the way. The first thing you can do is you can support the people that are currently running. So tomorrow, we will be at, and I need somebody to tell me, is the Cross? Am I saying it? Cross Creek Church? Am I saying it right? Um, Tomorrow there will be a suite of candidates, Democratic candidates there. Come out, talk to them, get to know them, and support them. That's number one. Number two, show up at the meetings to support the people that you hired. This is important that you hired. You hired these people. You pay them to be in these positions. So since you hired somebody to do a job, if they're not doing the job, you have a responsibility to ensure. That's called managing. You wouldn't hire somebody to cut your grass and then they not cut your grass and you say, oh, well, he just, he didn't want to come that day. No, that's not what you would do. What you would do is get on the phone. Next time you saw him, you would say, hey, this is what I need. So if you would do that for the person who cuts your grass or the person who fixes your car, then do that for the same person who you hired to handle your tax dollar. We know how to do this. So let's not give up our power. We're very, very empowered. Let's act on that. So find a way to get in the way.
whoa, you know what? I gotta give you this. I'm so slow today. Dale, we're gonna let Miss Ann wrap hers up and tell about what she is up to and why it's so important that her organization stands out. And thank you, Deidre. Thank you so much for coming on to the show. And I look forward to having you back on here. Don't go nowhere. All right, Miss Ann.
I was close. I was close to hit that button. I wanted to just say from a different perspective that I am partnering with a company called Elect HQ. Stephanie, you know Serena well. This is a version of Van on steroids. So if you're tired of using Van, I suggest that you reach out to either myself, Serena, Elect HQ. You can use my name, let them know I sent you. I'll invite you. I think, Dietrich, they're going to send you a demo and Dale as well so you can see how beneficial it is. Stephanie, you've already seen it. You know how it compares to Van. Part of the reason that Democrats are kind of always behind is the tools that we use. So this new software and this new app kind of sort of evens the playing field in terms of our ability to fundraise, coordinate. I think if memory serves me right, it can make your website in less than 30 seconds once you put your information in. It handles all of your outreach and follow up for you, and it's cheaper than BAN. As a matter of fact, they actually purchase the data from BAN and they marry it with AI. So it's a really robust version of BAN. I think you guys pass it on to any candidates, campaign strategists, and what have you that you know of. And on the subject of what I do, to your point, Dietrich, I find help people find their political pathway. Everybody can't march. Everybody's not a canvasser. Everybody's not a phone banker. So I have people come to me and share with me what their passions are, and I'm able to kind of find different ways for them to get involved. I'm a BDR, I'm a precinct chair, and as of today, I'm an election judge. So there are just tons of different ways for us to affect change. And as you know, like I said, a national organizer and chief disruptor and resistor. So I look forward to talking to you, Dale. I see you out there, Detrick. You're not going to get rid of me that way, that quick. I'm following you now. So thank you, Stephanie, for having me.
You are so very welcome. My co-host, come on out here. You be holding it down for me. Thank you so much. Dale, come on, do your thing.
Yeah. So, um, okay. hear me okay? Because my machine's freezing up a little bit. So
Your
just give me.
mic is real low.
My mic is really low. Okay. Let me try. Oh, here we go. My apologies. So you can hear me now, right? There we go.
Yeah, there you
All
go.
right. Sorry, I have having some technical difficulties. I just had a couple of applications crash on me. But if you can still hear me, hello, my name is Dale Frey. And there's a couple of different events I would like to plug. The first one, as mentioned by Detrick, is tomorrow in the Flower Mound area. There's a whole bunch of candidates, Stephanie included, who are coming out. And we're having our campaign kickoffs and a fundraiser. So if you want to come out to I believe it's around 6:30 or 7 p.m. in Flower Mound tomorrow. That'd be great. The day after that, there's another candidate who I'd really like to plug by the name of Vicki Goodwin. Vicki Goodwin is running to be our lieutenant governor. And so she's going to be taking on Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick. And she is going to be hosting an event in the city of Denton on Thursday. Also, okay, I'm hoping that you can still hear me because my screen is completely frozen. But moving on, if you can still hear me, despite all my technical difficulties, on Friday, the Frisco Democratic Club is also hosting our happy hour. So if you want to come out to meet like-minded individuals, the Frisco Democratic Club, we usually have our happy hour on the fourth Friday of every month, but we're having it on due to scheduling difficulties. We're having it this coming Friday. You can learn more about us at friscodemocrats.org. You can see all our events there. And also, I will plug the website called Mobilize, mobilize.us. Excuse me, sorry. I'm like coughing up a bit here. Mobilize.us is a website that contains all of the events for everything I just talked about. For the event, the Flower Mound Area Democratic Club for tomorrow, as well as Vicki Goodwin's event in Denton City on Thursday, and also us at the Frisco Democratic Club on Friday. So I hope that y'all can check out all of those things, and I hope to see you guys around.
All right, all right. Well, I would like to thank my guests, Deidre and Ann. Thank y'all both for coming on here, and I look forward to having you back on here again because in knowledge is power. Long as we keep educating the people, no matter how they try to burn the books and have all these book bans, we have got to keep letting the people know what's going on and be upfront with them because nobody wants to hear all that song and dance and whoop, whoop, whoop. They want to hear the truth. How can you help us? So we're going to be upfront and close and telling you what's going on. And y'all just stay tuned. And now I'm going to tell you, if you're watching us live right now, make sure you subscribe, like, and share because we got to get the word out. And that's one way how we can make a difference. We got to get the word out. And if you're a candidate and you want to be featured on here, give me a shout out and I will get you on here because I like to talk. And Dale is talking a whole lot. So I want to thank y'all for coming on here. Make sure y'all subscribe. Thank you, Deidre. Thank you, Ann, for coming on here. And we look forward to having you back on here. Thank y'all. Y'all have a good one.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Yeah.